Habari za mchana. Today I'll be talking about generally, when I think about Swahili as a language, I first wanted to see that how would you or me as an ordinary person actually, where would we have heard Swahili words? And if you think about it, my son, when he was small, used to play with Jenga. And the word Jenga is a Swahili word which means to build. Then we commonly use it. Like, let's go on a safari. So the word safari comes from the Swahili word to journey, a journey. So those are two words which we've heard very commonly. Then movies, of course, they like to show, like the Lion King, Disney's The Lion King. Everybody knows Hakuna Matata is no worries. But there are other words also which came from there, like Rafiki, which means friend. So these are the ways we would have encountered, and those who have watched Star Trek would have seen Uhura. Her name is Nyota Uhura, and Nyota means star. So there are different places in life where we do encounter Swahili. Swahili is actually originated with a combination of Bantu languages. Bantu is a tribe of this area, and Arabic influence, because the Arabian traders, they used to come across that area and they used to do trade. They actually, the word Swahili itself comes from the Arabic word for coast. Now, Swahili, if you think about it, that particular area of Eastern Africa, it came underneath the colonizers, whether they were Portuguese, German, or the English. So, most of these administrators, they preferred to keep the Swahili language as the lingua franca for the people. And they also introduced a lot of words from their own languages into Swahili. So this is somewhat an idea. If you see, it's the national language of Kenya and Tanzania, and of course widely spoken in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, Burundi, I think. So in Eastern Africa, this is a very popular language. But when a Swahili speaker speaks about it, they will not say Swahili; they will say Kiswahili. Where Kiswahili, that word, that Ki is added to indicate a language. Now, once we have done the greetings, which I discussed within last time's talk, we would like to proceed further, and we would like to introduce ourselves and get acquainted with the people whom we are meeting. So, the first thing that we would like to do is to tell our name to the other person. So, we will say Gina Languni, and in my case, I would say Gina Languni Jayashri, which means my name is Jayashri. The second way that I can tell is to say Ninaitwa Jayashri, which means I am called Jayashri. Now, relationships are two ways. So obviously, you want to know who you're talking to and what is their name. So you can ask them, Gina Lakoni Nani, which means, what is your name? Or you can ask them, Unaitwa Nani, which means, what are you called? So once you have got each other's names, you will next want to know where are they from. I am being very specific because this is not a Swahili class. I do not wish to go into the each and every country is called a bit differently in the Swahili language. I can give only one example, like they call the Americans as Marekani. So it's different for or the English language would be Kingereza. So there are different ways of saying things, and it's going to be very confusing for me. So I'm restricting myself as an Indian that what would be the words which are relevant to me. I mean, initially, because one of the major problems with being 61 and trying to learn a language is that I'm forgetting. I study it today and forget it tomorrow. So I am continuously practicing because it's unless you use the language on a daily basis, you are not going to remember these words. So this is something which I feel strongly about. So I'm first going to, let me first cross the Rubicon and learn my about myself, and then I can try and challenge myself by knowing about other countries. So the question is, Unatoka Wapi, where are you from? So this is a question which people are going to ask, and you have to say Ninatoka, India. That's absolutely fine. But if you wish, some places they say Ninatoka Uhindi. Uh, and if they want to say I am an Indian, then you can say Muhindi. And if you want to say Indians as a nationality, you can say Wahindi. There are too many languages in India. We don't have a specific language for our country. So we can't say, for one language. But if you were talking about Hindi, maybe you could say Ki Hindi. I think so. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. But this is my not it's not exactly a guess, but when you go onto the internet or you look in Google Translate, you do get some question marks in your head. But since I don't have a Swahili teacher and I'm just learning from different resources, I mean, coming to that, the kind of resources which I tried, well, everybody was using Duolingo and I tried it, but I found Duolingo not very useful. The ads are a bit annoying. First, secondly, that scowling owl at you, it's, it's very depressing. I don't like it. And then it keeps saying, I'm freezing you out. And sometimes I'm busy. I don't have time to do that all the time. And they are constantly trying to make you get the, buy it. I do understand it's a business, but it's a bit off putting because it's hard for me already. The second one I tried was called Drops. And Drops was nice actually, but it just gives you vocabulary. And just getting, lots of words in is nice. But if I can't frame a sentence, then that will not be very useful. Maybe I'll recognize those words if it's written somewhere in a hoarding or something, or I'll just hear the words which people are telling if I catch an occasional word. But as such, or if I want to just point at one object and tell its name, but if I'm already pointing at it, I don't need to tell its name. So yes, vocabulary, that's where it's mainly useful. The one which I found was a little bit sensible was memorize. By the way, I'm not advocating any of you buy anything with these things. No, it's just that for the first time I opened the Play Store and started seeing which are the apps which could help me, which I don't have to pay for. I'm retired, like I told you, and I'm not going to pay for anything. So I had a look at Memrise, and Memrise was very interesting because sometimes they just add a word here, a word here, a word here, but then suddenly give you a very meaningful sentence at the end of that, which helps you a lot. So I'll come to that later because I did find that particular thing, aspect of Memrise, very interesting. It was a practically useful sentences which I could get from Memrise, and I don't mind if I'm speaking internet Swahili, as long as the other person is communicated with and tries to knows that I'm trying to communicate with them. So I'm not very fussy because I'm not a student of a college or who's going to give an examination in the subject. Now, having talked about nationalities, the next part is that people will ask you, Unafanya Kazi Gani, which means, what's your job? Now, I have a problem because my husband is working and I'm retired. So, that's difficult for me to say the Unafanya Kalsi Gani business because I take care of a house. So I just Googled it just now to try and see how I could talk about myself. And I realized that I can say, one, that I am a researcher. So a researcher would be Tafiti. And then he says that uh, retired, they use the word nimestafu. So then I looked up Google Translate, and Google Translate gives me that I can say Nilikuwa Tafiti, which means I was a researcher. Now I'm retired would be Sasa Nimestafu. So, if anybody has some feedback on this, please let me know in the comments so that I can get it better. This is just from the internet, which is telling me to say Nidikuwa Tafiti. I am a researcher and now I am retired. That is Sasa Nimis Tafu. So, this is the bit which I can try to introduce myself maximum. Some of the other things that you'll have to know when people are going to talk to you is they can ask you, where do you live? And that's slightly different from asking you, where are you from? So they can ask you, like, for example, I live in Dar es Salaam, but I am from India. So I can say Ninaishi Dar es Salaam, Lakini, which means but. Um, then I'll have to say I'm from India. So Ninatokia, India. So it would be something like the sentence would form, I guess, like Ninaishi Dar es Salaam, Lakini, Ninatokia, India. So maybe I have clarified that I live currently in Dar es Salaam, but I am from India. So this is some sentence which I found, but I do find that the book say Ninatoka, but the memorize was going Ninatokia. So again, getting a little confused until I really meet a Swahili speaker who will correct these pronunciations. I need help for that. Now, I'm just going to end this with a little bit of information about which is something which is going to have. You saw heard me right in the beginning, where I said, um, I did ask you, Unafanya Kazi Gani. So that is what is your job. So when you tell your job, you'll say, my job is. So in that case, when you're talking about me, then you will use the word Mimi. This is your personal pronoun, Mimi. When you're talking about singular, you, then you'll use Wewe. And a singular pronoun for personal pronoun for him, he, her, she is Yegi. And if you're talking about the personal pronoun plural, there will be three of them. And the first one is CC, which means we or us, Ni, which means you, or wow, which means them or they. So these are some personal pronouns you'll have. I have to practice them all the time. Mimi, meaning me, singular personal pronoun. Wewe, you, singular personal pronoun. Ye, him, he, her, she, again, a singular personal pronoun. Sisi, we, us, a plural personal pronoun. Ni, which is you, and it's plural. And wow, which is them, they, which is again a plural personal pronoun. So these are going to be very useful as I go forward at least. And now I've learned one more word for saying see you later. They say tutuo nana badaye, which means see you later. So I'll come back after I have studied a bit. I hope that my effort will help to improve my understanding or my speaking of Swahili. That's it for today. Thank you.